Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. We appreciate you. Today is Tuesday, May 27th, 2025, and the time now is 6 p.m. And I will call to order this regular meeting of the Town of Mead Board of Trustees. In accordance with the town's remote participation and remote meeting policy adopted by the Board of Trustees on March 13th, 2023, by resolution number 21-R-2023, remote participation will be allowed. The meeting link has been provided on the town's website and designated posting place 24 hours prior to this meeting. I'd like to remind everyone present, both in person and virtually, of the town's general guidelines of public comment at open meetings and public hearings. The guidelines are available online and are at the entry table. There are 2 public comment opportunities on the agenda for persons in attendance at Town Hall to address the board. The first is limited to items on the agenda, and the second public comment opportunity allows any subject, whether it is on the agenda or not, to be addressed. If you have comments regarding the public hearing item, please comment. Comments will be taken during that item. Mary, roll call, please. Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Harris.
Here.
Trustee Adams. Trustee Babcock. Trustee Crane. Trustee Hagan.
Here.
Trustee Schranz.
Here.
Mayor Whitlow, today is Tuesday, May 27th, 2025. You do have a quorum. Trustee Schranz is online.
Thank you very much, Mary. With Memorial Day yesterday, please join me in a moment of silence as we honor the memory of all who have lost their lives in service to our country. Thank you very much for your time. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We'll move on to the next item on our agenda is review and approve agenda. There are several things that we need to move around tonight and remove. The first one is to remove 6B from the agenda, and we're going to move our proclamation of honoring our gadget girls in the audience in front of number 6. And for agenda item 10B, it should be read consolidated public hearing to consider the AMK annexation 2 proposed annexation, establish initial zoning, and approve the annexation agreement. Are there any other changes to the agenda tonight? May I have a motion to approve the amended agenda amending 6B, moving item number 7 above 6 and prior to 6, and for agenda item number 10B for purpose of reading.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Trustee Schranz.
Yes.
Trustee Hagan.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Harris.
Yes.
Mayor Whitlow.
Yes. Thank you very much. We have an agenda for this evening. Next, we'll move on to our manager report. Ma'am, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. You have my report. I have a few items I'd like to bring to your attention. First of all, Chief told me that on Saturday, 38 RVs moved into Gopher Gulch, and apparently it's the fullest it's ever been. As you will recall, it opened last June. And so it's exciting to see that many people there. But with all those people there, that means there's more people buying coffee and moving around town, and just something to know, because it also is a little difficult if you want to go east on 66, there at County Road 5. But hopefully they're all just in for the summer. So we're excited to see a Mead business really thriving. I just want to let you know that, we try to keep you updated on what's going on with the police and our outreach activities. Tomorrow, Slate will be over at the police department all day. They've scheduled several interviews that they're going to be taping. You know, as you will recall, we need to refresh some and have some new videos. So they'll be here. They're also working on the materials for the Eat, Meet and Greets. So we hope to have all that ready when we start in June on those. As you know, we had an RFP out for our police facility to do 30% design and a siting analysis. We got 8 responses. So staff will be meeting to narrow that down and interview the top candidates for that. This Saturday, just remember there's a shred event here at Town Hall, and there's also the town-wide garage sale event going on at the same time. So hopefully a lot of people will come in to do their shredding and then go buy things at the garage sales. And then finally, I just wanted to mention, I did see Dean Brown slip in the room, not sure why he's here. But just so you all know, the High Plains Boulevard 9½, we have set our groundbreaking luncheon, if you will, due to the constraints of all the roads being closed. We decided to do it out at Public Works on June 12th. And CDOT will have a booth there so that people can stop and ask questions about what's going on there as well. And you all know Welker's closed. It's closed for about a month. And our goal, hopefully the rain will stop, but we're going to get in there and rebuild Welker while the road's closed. So our segment from I-25 to the intersection will be rebuilt in this time period. So when they open up the interchange, a lot of new things will be on tap for us. Big shout out to Erica and her crews for making this happen. Even more so when it actually happens, but we're pretty sure it will. So that's all my updates to my report, and I can answer any questions you have.
Questions for Helen?
Yeah, I think at the couple board meetings ago, we all voted and gave you direction to negotiate the concrete roundabout, the terms of that. What's the result of that?
We hope to have that at the next board meeting on the 9th.
Okay.
Thank you. Anything? Trustee Schranz, do you have any questions for Helen?
No.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, we'll move on to our proclamation tonight, honoring the Gadget Girls in the audience of Mead Elementary School on their 2025 VEX Robotics World Championship Judges Award. I've asked Mayor Pro Tem Harris to read the proclamation.
All right. Proclamation honoring the Gadget Girls of Mead Elementary School 2025 VEX Robotics World Championship Judges Award. Whereas the VEX Robotics World Competition is the world's largest robotics competition hosted annually by the Robotics Education and Competition, or REC Foundation, bringing together over 2,400 student teams from across all 50 states and more than 60 countries. And whereas the 2025 VEX Robotics World Championship was held from May 6th to May 14th at the K. Bailey Hutchison Convention Center in Dallas, Texas, showcasing innovation, teamwork, and problem solving at the highest level of global STEM competition. And whereas the Gadget Girls, a robotics team composed of brilliant young innovators from Mead Elementary School in Mead, Colorado, proudly represented our community at this prestigious event in the VEX IQ Robotics Competition. And whereas among more than 900 competing teams in their division, the Gadget Girls earned the Judges Award, an honor presented to a team that demonstrates exceptional attributes such as perseverance, ingenuity, and outstanding teamwork that may not fall under other award categories. And whereas this achievement reflects the commitment, collaboration, and creativity of the Gadget Girls, along with the guidance of their mentors and the support of their families, educators, and the broader Mead community. And whereas the success of the Gadget Girls exemplifies the values of educational excellence, innovation, and the power of STEM learning to empower the next generation of leaders and problem solvers. Now, therefore, Colleen Whitlow, Mayor of the town of Mead, Colorado, does hereby recognize and honor the Gadget Girls of Mead Elementary for their extraordinary accomplishments, hard work, intellect, and team spirit. The Gadget Girls inspire students and serve as a shining example of what young minds can achieve when given the tools to dream, build, and lead. Given under her hand and seal of the town of Mead, Colorado, on this 27th day of May 2025.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the signing of this proclamation?
I make a motion to approve the signing of the proclamation.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Harris,
Yes.
trustee Shranz,
Yes.
Mayor Whitlow.
Yes. Thank you very much. Motion carries. Congratulations to Coach Casey Medlock and the Gadget Girls team. I'm going to sign the proclamation and we're all going to get a picture together. Is that okay? All right.
Who came up with the name Gadget Girls?
Oh,
Nice. Well done.
all right. Let's go do it. Very nice. We're going to do it right here in the middle.
That's not it. That must be paying along. Right?
All right. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, smile. Congratulations, Barry. You can have this coach.
2, 3, 4.
Oh. That was fun. Text Mary and she'll tell you.
Thank you again for joining us on a rainy night. And I appreciate everything that your parents have done for you and your coaches and all the people and your principal that we know very well. So thank you very much for coming tonight. We appreciate it. And once again, let's give them a round of Enjoy your summer. You're welcome.
Bye, guys. Oh, that was so cute. That's cute.
That's the best proclamation.
Yeah. Yep. All right, we'll move on. Number 6 of our for our agenda item tonight, we're going to have 2 informational items. The first one will be community center programming by our communications director, Laureline Nelson. Bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, as we are preparing to launch the community center, we're looking at programming, hours of operation, fees, etc. So I'm going to give you a brief overview of what we have lined out. Next slide, please. Okay, so we're going to start with staffing. Currently, we will have Caitlin Newbanks, JC, and myself move over to the community center. We are hiring a full-time front desk clerk, and then we're going to hire 2 part-time front desk clerks to cover the evenings and weekends. Our recreation assistants, right now we have 6. We'll bump that up to 8. Those recreation assistants are not exclusively at the community center. The 6 that we have right now, they help with events, youth sports, getting equipment bags ready, inventory, a wide variety of rec and event aspects. So we'll increase that to 8 and help cover that community center and give support to the front desk staff. Next slide. Our hours in use, we are looking at a Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m., Saturday 8 a.m. to 7 p.m., and Sunday from noon to 5. You might be wondering why the extended hours during the week, and that is primarily because of youth sports. So the facility, we're planning on using the half of the gymnasium at least to help facilitate our sport practices for volleyball and basketball. We have a lot of conflicting dates with the school that we currently use. So we want to have half of that gymnasium available for youth sport practices. So if that's the case, we have to keep the facility open. We have to keep it staffed. So we're going to keep that till 9 and have the other half of the gym open for drop-ins. Saturday is a modified schedule. We are looking to compare the availability of the school districts versus the availability of the community center. The idea is that we're trying to balance open gym space, open facility uses with programming. So we're kind of threading the needle to allow for both of those options. And then Sunday, obviously, is a shorter day. This is pretty consistent with a lot of other community centers in the area. And one thing to keep in mind, this is what we're looking at for the first few months. When we'll start analyzing drop-ins and facility usage, we can modify those hours. If we're finding that we have more people coming in Sunday at 4 o'clock, we might, shift that to accommodate more people using the facility. Next slide. Our drop-in rates. So infant, 0 to 3, no cost. Youth is 4 to 17, and we have a $3 resident fee and a $5 non-resident fee. Adults, 18 to 64, $5 resident fee, $7 non-resident fee. Seniors, which is 65 and up, is a $3 resident fee, a $5 non-resident fee. And what we're utilizing is Civic Rec has a membership or a digital punch pass. So families can come in, they'll get a little key card, and they'll be able to scan it at the front desk and utilize those digital punches. So kids can be dropped off, go use the facility, they have their punch pass. It's all digital, and that'll be taken off of their account. Parents can add funds or punches to their account. So it gives families a lot of freedom to be able to use those for all their kiddos. And then obviously we will have one-time drop-in rates. So if you don't want to buy a punch pass, you're in town for a day, or you're over at the RV park and you want to do something different, you can come in and do a one-time drop-in rate. We'll be taking cash, card, all that stuff. So we'll be good there. And then we will also have program fees. So programs are what we're running through the community center that's done through Civic Rec, and they pay a program fee. So people will not pay a program fee and a drop-in. If we're having Crafty Critters, for example, in the multi-purpose room, those participants will have paid a program fee. They don't have to pay the additional drop-in fee for that. Thank you. So what we have outlined, starting at the end of August, early September, we will have Summit Singers. It's called Incline Choir, and this is specific for third through fifth graders. We have contracted with Megan Lawless, who's very well known at the Mead schools, and she will be hosting this. And we'll have registrations come through our department, and she's a contracted music director implementing this program. Crafty Critters, this is a program that we've ran for several years. We typically do it in the summer outside, but we ran into weather-related issues, thunderstorms in the evenings. So we pushed that back to the end of September, or the end of August. So we'll be doing Crafty Critters inside the multi-purpose room. Give us a little bit of flexibility. We can use the inside space if the weather isn't cooperating. That room also connects to the outdoors, so we can go outside as well. As I mentioned, recreation youth sports, we will be using the facility to help assist with practices and games as needed. And that's going to be dependent on what the school district allows us to use. And then lastly, we've been working with High Plains Library District. They have a couple of different programs they're running in Mead. They do their story time, their mobile book, their bookmobile, and they are doing a tech assistant class. And they're kind of at wide variety of places around. So we wanted to bring them into the facility, give them the space to help run their programming. So when they transition to their new facility, they have the support and they have the clientele, the residents that have been utilizing them for the last several years. So that is our plans. Next slide. All right, so High Plains Library District, this is what we have outlined with them. And it seems like a lot. I know when I saw this list, I was like, whoa, they're taking over the facility. It's not the case. It's 7 days a month. Their tech help program is for adults, older adults that need help with, computers or their phones or, just tech help in general. We're planning on doing an adult book club. Mead Story Hour, which is currently at TBK Bank, will transition over to the community center. We're going to do a Let's Draw class, an international snack club, and then STEAM, which is just a play on STEM. And so all of these programs are free. The library are hosting them at no cost. The Mead Community Center will not be charging for these, but they're more just to get programming into the space and really highlight the offerings of the library that is soon to be in Mead. Next. Okay, so new programming. These are things that we are in the works for. So this is stuff that we've talked, we're talking to contractors, and a lot of things are lined out, but it's not nailed down in stone yet. So we're looking at yoga classes. We're gonna wanna do that once to twice a week. We are going to do some American Red Cross, CPR, and first aid certifications. Caitlin Newbanks is a certified instructor, so we'll be able to host those American Red Cross programmings, and she could do babysitter classes, a wide variety of American Cross programming. We are looking to partner with the Special Olympics and have different events at the community center for that. Adult leagues and tournaments, we have those outlined. We're looking at October, November, but like 3v3 adult women's basketball, 3v3 adult men's basketball, doing some, volleyball tournaments for adults. And then we are also looking at the silver sneakers classes. And so this is about 65 plus. It's a very specialized programming. Our fitness instructor who does our classes over at Anytime is also certified for silver sneakers. So we're looking to amend her contract and have those classes offered at the community center. Questions, comments?
I have a question on the programming and the library. So can you go back to that? Most of those are, okay, the Let's Draw, is that for children, adults, everybody?
So the first two are adults, the tech help and the adult book club.
Okay,
Everything else are for kids
okay.
of all ages.
Oh, okay. I'm a kid. Okay. All right, thank you. Questions? No. Trustee Schranz, do you have any questions for Lorelei? Trustee Schranz, do you have any questions for Lorelei?
Yes, I do. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, I wanted to ask Lorelei if we have any rentable space in the community center. In other words, could a community rent the event center or something for a meeting or something of that nature?
The question was, do we have rentable space? Yes.
Yes.
So that is outlined in the fees that will be brought later. So we do have those fees outlined. We will have rentable space. However, the plan is to kind of wait, hold off on renting that until my team gets their feet underneath them in running the facility with the current programming that we have. And then we will open that up for rentals.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Lorelei. You're welcome. Okay. Next on our agenda is temporary use permits, and our Administrative Service Director, Mary Strutt, will be discussing this.
All right, thank you, Mayor of Board. Happy to be here tonight. As you know, at our last meeting, a business owner came in and asked you about temporary use permits, what they are, what they cost, why we require them. So I'm here to talk to you about that tonight. Okay. First of all, for temporary uses are defined in Mead Municipal Code. So they're all in our code. It allows for uses that are either not typically allowed or are not the principal approved use of the property for a specific limited time. And just to talk a little bit about that, development comes through the Board of Trustees, whether it's a residential development or a commercial development, and those properties are identified for a specific use. Residential is identified for a residential property, right? Commercial is for a specific use, whether it's a retail use or a doctor's office or a restaurant, right? And when they come through the planning process, they're required to have parking and access and things like that based on the use that they're going to have for the property. So again, temporary use is if you're just going to have a temporary use or if it's going to be a different use than your normal one. Okay. Under that code section 16-3-70, there are 13 identified different types of temporary uses. So one is a real estate sales office. Those are in residential areas, right? D.R. Horton is over there selling and they put in a sales office, right? Fairs, carnivals, public gatherings, natural disasters and emergencies. That's like if a tornado comes through and takes down your building and you want to put up a tent for a while so you can do your business. Parking lot sales are in there. You can have parking lot sales for up to 2 weeks, 2 times per year. Seasonal outdoor sales are in there, up to 1 a month for 1 time a year. Estate and farm sales and auctions are a temporary use. Other uses are other kind of uses that aren't really defined, but again, that might bring different people to your properties. Yard sales are listed under temporary uses. So yes, garage sales are included in a temporary use. They are exempt from this review by our code, but you are only allowed 6 garage sales a year. If people want to have a garage sale every weekend of the year, that kind of annoys their neighbors sometimes. So our code does limit it to 6 times per year. Garage residential occupancy. That is in our code as a temporary use. If you want to live in your garage, you could get a permit for that for up to 360 days per year. Restaurants with outdoor seating. Again, if it wasn't approved as part of your primary use, it's a temporary use. Sidewalk cafes are separate because the sidewalk is generally town property, town right-of-way that you're going to do that cafe on. And then the other 2 are mobile retail food establishments, which are food trucks. And there's certain rules if they're in a non-residential area versus a residential area. Okay, so those are the type of temporary uses that are identified in our code. Here's some examples of things that we've approved in the past, whether you've been to these events or not, but we've done agility dog trials at Tractor Supply. They've done that about 2 or 3 times over the years. The annual fireworks stand at Conoco. Conoco's a gas station, right? Putting that tent in their parking lot is a temporary use. Car shows like the Mead Motorhead's car show, which is here. Real estate sales trailers we've talked about. Oktoberfest at Guardian Angels Church. Dozer Days at Ritchie Brothers. Barbecue contests, military veterans fundraisers, and also food trucks, right? So these are some that we've approved in the past. And I want to go through next the approval criteria, which is in our code. Okay, these are the things we're supposed to look at before approving a temporary use. Is the site adequate in size and shape? Let's say you send in an application that says you want to have a wedding at your home and you think, okay, it's my home, I can do whatever I want, right? But if you want to have a wedding at your home downtown and you want to have 1,000 people, we're probably going to say that your site is not adequate in size and shape. If you live in Valeview, it might be, right? Is the site served by adequate streets to handle the traffic? Is there adequate parking to accommodate the traffic either on site or at alternate locations? Oktoberfest at the church was a good example of this, right? They could put a tent up in that field and they could have all the people park in the field right there. No problem whatsoever, right? For our community days, we have to look at alternative locations for parking. We rent the field from Boulder Scientific to allow people to park there during community days. And we also do traffic control for that to make sure the parking goes where it's supposed to be. Will the use jeopardize public health, safety, or general welfare? I'm not 100% sure what that means in the code, but I think we would know if we saw it. I assume it has to do with, like bathroom facilities, right? And trash and cleanup, stuff like that. Okay. In addition to this approval criteria, there's conditions of approval. So we can put these conditions on people who want to do an event. We can say they have to provide temporary parking, including access and egress, right? Just like, again, Oktoberfest had it all set on their site. We provide temporary parking over there. I had one business wanting to do an event on a Saturday morning and block off all their parking in their lot and do an event on a Saturday. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. But where are your customers going to park? And where are the people coming to the event going to park? And the business owner told me, oh, they'll just park in the neighbor parking lots because, the church only works on Sunday and all the other places are Monday through Friday. Okay, that's not really acceptable because that's private property. It's okay if you have permission from those other people to use their parking lots, but maybe that business that normally works Monday through Friday was going to have a work day on Saturday, and you've got a big event going on. So we need to make sure these are coordinated. That's kind of our job, right? Maybe the church that's usually only there on Sunday was going to have an event going on at their church on Saturday and they needed their parking. You can't just take it up because you don't think they're there on the weekends, right? Another condition is controlling nuisance factors, right? If somebody wants to have a band or something else, right? What's the noise? What's the time limits that you're going to do it at? We regulate temporary structures. Those structures could be fences that need to be up to control traffic or people. It could be a tent. Examples of a tent, though, are like the fireworks stand at Conoco. That tent has to be fire rated. We have to get the fire department involved in reviewing the tent to make sure that's acceptable. Provide sanitary and medical facilities. Are you providing proper porta potties and whatever that you need? We've just had a request come in last week, and they're filling out the temporary use permit application right now for MS of Colorado. So multiple sclerosis of Colorado, they're doing a bike race, a 2-day bike event. And they're going to be coming through Mead on June 28th. That's a Saturday. And they would like to set up at TBK Bank. That sounds good, right? But where are they going to set up? They have 2 ambulances that come with them and 8 medical workers, and they want 2 tents set up. And I believe they'd be bringing their own porta potties with them because there are 900 bike riders coming through. They don't expect all these bike riders to come through at one time. They think by the time they get to Mead, it'll be in clusters of 10 people at a time. Well, that's okay. That sounds great. We won't have to close off the roads or anything for you if there's only 10 coming in at a time, but you still need restroom facilities. You still need a place to put your stuff. Is it all going to fit? If you've made this agreement with TBK Bank, is it all going to fit in their parking lot? Or are you going to be spilling this out into the street and blocking people's access to the other businesses on Main Street? That's something that we need to look at. Provide for waste collection and disposal. Provide security and safety measures. Again, that's something with Guardian Angels Church and their Oktoberfest. They had a liquor license and they were serving beer, a lot of beer for their Oktoberfest, right? We requested that they provide security at their event to make sure that no alcohol was leaving the premises and that they were kind of making sure people weren't drunk driving leaving there. We can regulate the hours of operation, and we could even request them to submit a bond to guarantee that it's restored. For example, if those 900 bicycles were to come in all at one time, we might want a bond to make sure that they're picking up the trash and taking it with them. Because if anybody went to the Boulder yesterday or this weekend, it's probably a mess. It was 10 years ago when I used to go, right? And we don't want that here in town. So the application, I gave you each a copy of the application to show that it's just a simple 2-page form. We tried to make the form as easy as we could for anybody to complete, but it does have the basic information that we're requiring. We do charge a $250 application fee and a $500 deposit, and it's due at least 30 days prior to the event so that we can get the permit processed and through the system. I'm going to go to the next slide, which talks about mobile retail food. There is one thing, mobile retail food, the board did decide about 8 years ago to reduce the fee amount for food trucks to make it easier for them to come in. So right now, food trucks have a $50 fee with no deposit. We do require that they submit a health department inspection, insurance, permission to use the property, and a diagram for parking and food service. Now you might ask, why do we care about food trucks, right? They're all over at the breweries and stuff. Well, we do care because it is our job to be responsible for the public health and safety of our residents. So we do want to know that they've had a health department inspection, either by Weld County or some other department. We want to know that they have insurance. If you're giving bad food to all of our people, do you have some insurance to cover you? And do you have permission to be there? The other thing our code requires with mobile retail food in a commercial setting is that it's over 200 feet away from a brick and mortar restaurant. We do that as a support of our brick and mortar restaurants that are here, right? We want to be supportive of those that have invested in our community and are here on a day-to-day basis. So we don't want them to necessarily be taking away from the restaurants. So why do we charge $250? We charge $250 because we do this staff review. The staff review includes an intake by the town clerk's office. My office does take in the applications and the fees and then distributes it to all the other departments. Engineering and Public Works does a review of the streets, the access, are they closing off any roads? Community Development does a review of the use. What's the use? How many people are they going to have on their premises? If this is normally a retail setting that normally has, I don't know, 100 customers a day, right? That's maybe 5 an hour, right? Okay, that's fine. 5 or 10 an hour, that's people in and out. But if you're going to do something where more people are coming at a shorter period of time, is there parking for those people, right? Communications reviews it too to make sure there's no other conflicting events. We don't want to do 2 major events at the same time at the same place. Police is looking at safety and security issues. The clerk's office is doing a review for finance and the clerk's office to make sure, wow, do they have a proper business license? Are they collecting and remitting sales tax as they're required to do? So we're looking at those types of issues. And then we're also doing a referral to any outside agencies. Again, the fire department may want to look at some of these things. The health department and other issues. And then the permit is issued. It all comes back to the clerk's office with all the comments. We may go back and forth with the applicant, and it's issued by the clerk's office with delegated authority from the town manager. That authority comes directly out of the code. So this is in chapter 16. I started by saying this is in chapter 16 of the land use of the Mead Municipal Code. That's the land use code. And as you know, the board has approved the land use code update project. This project has been under review since October. That's when the contract was signed with Ayers and Associates. It's a major review of the land use code, looking at our regulations, are they appropriate? Looking at any recent legislation that we might have to add to our code. They also take a look at other communities and what they do. So this is a pretty major review of the land use code. And this consulting group will also look at the temp use permits as part of this review. And as part of the review, as part of the project, there will be open houses with the community. There'll be meetings with the Planning Commission, and there'll be meetings with the Board of Trustees. So if there's any input that the board has to the temp use process, I would say now's a fantastic time to give it, right? If you have any now, or if you have any over the next couple of weeks to provide to the consultant team, this is the fantastic time to do it. But I am happy to answer any questions about the information that I provided.
Thanks, Mary. Questions, comments?
Yeah, I think it may be appropriate to do a multi-level kind of assessment, like some really simple events could be streamlined, maybe just through your office that doesn't require fire review and, it's not a major impact to an area, just to have us, whatever that simple use might be. And especially if it's on private property, I mean, it's the damages to their property, right? I understand the parking and that issue, but and then once they've done an event and it's gone off swimmingly, assuming it does, then maybe the next time they come in, it can be a reduced fee and it can just be a much simpler, short turnaround type approval process instead of the same thing. That would be my input.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Trish, any?
And so we have not looked at how we compare to other towns as far as we would wait and let that consultant come back to us and tell us.
Correct. I did
that-
not. I was only asked to provide information on the temp use permit process.
Okay.
And again, our fee, $250, you're having at least 6 staff members take a look at it and review this process. I would say that that's probably appropriate for the reviews that we've done. But I'd say as part of the update, if we come up with this tiered process, perhaps maybe that'd be the time to implement different charges. But no, I did not look at other municipalities.
Okay. And one thing that you didn't mention that I saw in the notes was that one temporary permit could be used for multiple events over, say, the course of a summer. If you were doing a weekly event and it goes through this whole review process and it's determined, yes, you've got adequate parking. Yes, you're good for this. That one permit with that $250 fee and the $500 deposit would be applicable for like how long?
So it's
Would that
1
be
year is 1 year is what we've done. So a temporary use permit could be good for 1 year. We've done that with food trucks and we've done it with multi-date projects, like a farmer's market, for example. You could do it every Saturday of the summer for one permit of $250. And let me add on that, because we did with that temporary use permit, we also made it an umbrella permit. Okay. So food trucks need their own permit unless there's a temporary use permit for the site. So if there's a temporary use permit for a farmer's market and they have 5 food trucks come in, those food trucks don't need individual licenses as long as the temporary permit holder checks their licenses and taxing information.
Okay.
Okay, so that's something too. So it works that way for like community day, right? There's just one, but community day checks all of the vendor permits. The Mead Motorheads car show gets one temp use permit. And then if they have food trucks, or I think they had the shaved ice truck or whatever, they don't need an individual permit to come to that event because it's all under the umbrella of the temp use permit.
Okay. So then it's not necessarily a damage deposit. The $500 covers, the 500 extra is covering what exactly?
So I see the $500 as covering extra staff time related to the event, right? It's not specified in our code exactly what that's for, but if you ask me, I would say that could be if we have to do extra cleanup afterwards, if we have to send code enforcement out 5 times because the noise was too loud, if we have to send the police over because traffic has gotten so out of control and they didn't specify their needs up front correctly. Like, for example, if it's one thing, if you're having an event where you expect 100 people over 4 hours, right? It's totally another thing if you're having something that starts at 6 o'clock and 200 people are coming at 6 o'clock. You might need to be directing traffic, right? And so there may be different requirements for that. And there may be needs that aren't met. That's what I see the $500 for.
Okay. Thank you.
Trustee Schranz, do you have any questions for Mary tonight?
No, well, I do. I just have one question that, and it's not really a question, it's maybe more of a statement. But you talk about a $500 deposit, but that for some reason seems to be interpreted as a damage waiver of some sort. Why is there a confusion?
So the question was, there's a $500 deposit, and why is there confusion that that's a damage deposit or not? And I would say I don't have an answer for that. Our application clearly says that it's a deposit for the event. And our code clearly says it's a deposit for the event, and so does our fee schedule. So how it's been interpreted as a damage deposit, I don't know.
Okay, so it's not something we put out.
No.
Okay, thank you.
Maybe it should be clearer what you're allowed to access that $500 for then. I mean, no one wants to just have $500 that can be willy-nilly taken from them without some definition of what those terms might be.
I actually would agree with you. I agree with you 100%. And as the person who's reviewed these, that might be something I'd like to see in the land use code update, is what's the deposits for and what it can be used for. I think that's a great idea.
Thanks, Mary, very much for your time.
I would just like to add, think of Woodstock. Remember Woodstock? Originally, it was just going to be a couple of people going to see a few bands. And I imagine if they had a damage deposit, it didn't cover, but it isn't damages. It's like a security deposit for your apartment, and guess who gets to decide what it gets applied to? So I think if we have a much greater specificity of what it would be, right off the top of my head, I would think trash pickup. If you have an event and there is trash everywhere and we need to send, some crews out for a couple of hours, that to me would be a reasonable thing that you should forego some of your deposit. But I personally think that deposit might be a little high. And that's why I think when we start looking at our other communities, go back and look at the last 20 of these. Did we always return it? It might be a little steep. And I absolutely agree. We need tiering on this, because a fireworks show or something over at Ritchie Brothers, some big event is not comparable to a yard sale or even a farmer's market on some of these properties. So I think we'll look at it and come up with something that isn't one size fits all.
All right, thank you. Okay, we'll move on to our public comment. The board welcomes public comment at this time for any item on the agenda. If you wish to address the board about any of the public hearing items, those comments will be taken during item number 10. We will also take comments for items not on the agenda during the second public comment, item number 12. Please remember that public comment is not intended to be a question and answer session. The board will listen to your comments and take them into consideration. All comments should be directed to the Board of Trustees and not to a specific individual. If you wish to speak during this first public comment period, please adhere to the town's general guidelines. Please start by stating your full name and address for the record. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to address the Board of Trustees. If you're representing a group, you will have 5 minutes. We ask that all speakers and audience members treat one another with respect and dignity. Let's ensure we maintain a welcome environment and avoid any actions that could be distracting. Ms. Strutt, do we have anyone signed in for this public comment period? Oh,
No.
okay, thank you. Is there anyone here in the audience who would like to speak to the Board of Trustees on an agenda item?
I'd like to comment on what we just went over here as far as the fees involved. Sarah of Sugar Mill last week or 2 weeks ago when she was here, she ran off a bunch of numbers about other municipalities and the cost of other municipalities. And from what I remember, and I'll go get the numbers from her and I'll even do the research. But we were totally out of line with our numbers, $250, and she quoted $50 for numerous surrounding municipalities. I understand all these things you're saying that it costs this for that and look over this. If everybody else is doing it for around $50 for these fees and we're charging $250, there's still something wrong here with the whole situation. So I think we need to start to do some research and find out why everybody else is charging so little and we're still charging so much. I understand everything you said, Mary, but it doesn't wash with what she said about what everybody else is charging. So I'll do the research and I'll go get the numbers she presented and we can review it a little more rather than just telling us how much it costs for everybody to review everything. That doesn't justify the difference between us and everybody else. So I'll look into that.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to speak to the Board of Trustees? Okay, we'll move on to our consent agenda. The consent agenda contains items which are considered routine and are approved with one motion and vote. I would like to recognize staff for putting together these items for the board tonight and for reviewing them ahead of time. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Harris,
Yes.
Trustee Shranz,
Yes.
Trustee Hagan,
Yes.
Mayor Whitlow.
Yes. Thank you very much. Motion carries for a consent agenda. And again, thank you, staff, for putting this together. We'll move on to our public hearing. There are two public hearings scheduled for tonight. For each hearing, we will first hear from staff, then the applicant may present. After the applicant, we will take questions or comments from the public, followed by the trustees. The first public hearing is only for the eligibility of the AMK Annex 2. After that public hearing is completed, we will hold a public hearing for this establishment of initial zoning. I will now open the public hearing for public hearing AMK Annexation 2 at 6:51. I invite our town planner, Colin Burrells, to present the staff report.
Perfect. Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, trustees, tonight for your consideration, I'm bringing forward the eligibility resolution for the proposed AMK2 annexation. So as detailed in the staff report in your packet, tonight we're only looking at the eligibility for annexation portion of the AMK2 annexation. So this means that we're strictly reviewing if the property conforms with the annexation requirements outlined in the Colorado Revised Statutes 31-12-104, as well as 31-12-105, which are outlined in your packet. So the consolidated public hearing for the annexation and for the zoning of the property is being recommended to be continued to the August 11th Board of Trustees meeting. And the reason for that, we're still working through the annexation agreement with the developer. So we don't have that prepared at this time. So we need the next 2-3 months to work with the developer on that agreement. Yes, yeah, the map will come up next slide. But so yeah, the property being considered for eligibility for annexation tonight is the AMK2 property shown there in red. The applicant for the annexation is Randy Stipich on behalf of AMK Properties LLC. The total area proposed for annexation is approximately 13.206 acres. It's generally located east of I-25, north of County Road 34. So you can see there on the aerial, the FedEx facility is to the northwest, Home Depot just a little farther north of that. And then that original AMK property that was annexed last year is right there directly to the west of this proposed property. So in order to be eligible for annexation, a property needs to conform with the requirements outlined in the revised statutes. So as outlined in your report, as well as shown here on the slide, the property meets all of the state requirements for eligibility for annexation. The annexation petition has been signed by 100% of the landowners of the area proposed for annexation. No other municipality has commenced annexation. The property will not be detached from the current school district, which is the St. Vrain School District, RE1J. The annexation will not separate or subdivide any property that's held in identical ownership. And the annexation will not extend the town boundaries more than 3 miles in any direction within 1 year. So this slide showing the annexation map for the AMK2 outline. The property boundaries are outlined in red, In yellow is the contiguity with existing town boundaries. So in order to be eligible for annexation, the property needs to have at least 1/6 of its boundary be contiguous with the existing town of Mead boundary. So the proposed annexation exceeds the required 596 feet of contiguity. They provide 1,917 feet of contiguity. It works out to about 53 or 54% of their property is contiguous to our existing boundary. So with that, I'm here tonight to recommend that the board approve the eligibility resolution and then open and continue the consolidated public hearing regarding the approval of the annexation, the establishment of initial zoning, as well as the approval of the annexation agreement to the August 11th Board of Trustees meeting at 6 p.m. here at Town Hall. And then I'm available for any questions.
Colin, does the applicant have any presentations tonight?
No, not tonight.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah.
This is an opportunity now for the public to comment on the eligibility hearing. When you are recognized, please state your name and address for the record. You will have 3 minutes to address the Board of Trustees, and we will ask that you please adhere to the town's general guidelines. Are there any comments from the public at this time? Okay, seeing none. Do any of the trustees have comments or questions? Trustee Hagan.
I think I disclosed before that I do work with Randy Stipich. I don't think I'm in conflict to vote on the resolution to consider them eligible, but I probably won't be able to vote in August. Yeah, I don't know, but I just out of caution.
So voting tonight on the eligibility, you're fine. Yeah, because it's meeting strict standards. You're applying those standards to the facts. So you're okay.
Okay, thanks.
Trustee Schrantz, do you have any comments or questions?
I do not.
Okay, thank you. I will now close the public hearing portion of this meeting at 6:56, and I will consider a motion regarding resolution number 33-R-2025.
I make a motion to approve resolution number 33R-2025, a resolution of the town of Mead, Colorado, setting forth certain findings of fact and conclusions as to the annexation of certain property known as the AMK Annexation 2.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please, Mary.
Trustee Schrantz,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Harris,
Yes.
Trustee Hagan,
Yes.
Mayor Whitlow.
Yes. Thank you very much. Motion carries. And thank you to the applicant for putting forth his effort for this. The next public hearing is the consolidated public hearing for AMK Annexation 2 regarding the proposed annexation, establishment of initial zoning and annexation agreement. I will open this continued public hearing at 6:57, and I understand from staff report that we will have a request to continue this public hearing until August 11th, 2025 at 6 p.m. at Town Hall. Do we have a motion to continue the public hearing to the date certain, August 11th, 2025 at 6 p.m. at Town Hall?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Thank you. Roll call, please, Mary.
Trustee Hagan,
Yes.
Trustee Schrantz,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Harris,
Yes.
Mayor Whitlow.
Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you, Colin, for your time tonight. Okay, we'll move on to our new business, and this will be introduced by our Administrative Service Director, Mary Strutt. Ma'am, you have the floor.
One more. Thank you, Mayor, trustees. I appreciate your time tonight. We are here tonight because of a vacancy on the Board of Trustees and to talk about appointment and how we do that. It comes because of Trustee Brooke Babcock. So I do have up on here, our Board of Trustees, as you know, is a mayor and 6 trustees who are elected to 4-year staggered terms. Just have that up there for informational purposes, right? 1, 2, 3, 4 of your terms expire in 2026 and the other 3 in 2028, correct? Trustee Brooke Babcock sent an email letter of resignation on May 9th of 2025. It is in your board packet. It does read, "Good morning. Unfortunately, due to some unexpected health issues with my family, I'm resigning from my trustee position effective immediately. I am truly thankful for the opportunity to serve and to work with you all again. Sincerely, Brooke Babcock. So according to Mead Municipal Code and the Colorado Revised Statute, if a trustee resigns their position after elected, the board declares that position vacant and then can fill that position either by appointment or election. The initial appointment, either the initial filling of the position by appointment or election, is until the next regular election, which right now is November 2026. And at that time, there would be another election for a candidate to complete the term, which would go from 26 to 28. What you have in your packet is resolution number 34-R-2025. It's a resolution declaring the vacancy in the office of trustee. It does declare the position as vacant, and it gives the board the 60 days to appoint a trustee or to order a special election. What I'd like to do, if the board so chooses, is to consider that resolution. And then I'd like to ask for some direction from the board on how you'd like to proceed on filling the position.
Thanks, Mary. Is there a motion to approve resolution number 34-R-2025?
I will move to approve resolution number 34-R-2025, a resolution of the town of Mead, Colorado, declaring a vacancy in the office of trustee.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call.
Trustee Hagan,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Harris,
Yes.
Trustee Schranz,
Yes.
Mayor Willow.
Yes. Thank you very much. Motion carries for resolution number 34. Go ahead, Mary.
All right, thank you. So,
I have a question, Mary. So the person, if we move this to this 2026 election, say we appoint somebody and they go until then, is it the lowest vote getter amongst the top, I guess, 5? The 5th one would get the 2-year term, or how does that work?
okay, so yes, I think you have it correct. So right now, we'd be looking to appoint or elect someone to this position, right? Whoever is appointed or elected is appointed or elected until November 2026, because that's our next regular election. At that time, we have 3 trustee positions open and the mayor position, but 3 trustee positions. And then this would be a 4th, this would be a 2-year term. So the 3 top vote getters would get the 4-year terms and the next one would get the 2-year term. So yes. So this really, I just want to open this up for discussion among the board of what you want to do, right? It is up to the Board of Trustees to decide to appoint and how to appoint. But I've just put some options out there and I also want to give you kind of a timeline, right? So to select a candidate for appointment, sometimes people consider like a previous board member, committee member, people who've run for the board before, okay? You can just appoint someone if you so choose. You can advertise and take applications. We've done that in the past. The last time we had a vacancy, we did advertise for a couple of weeks on our website and social media. We took applications. I did provide to the Board of Trustees a copy of that packet from last time. So it is at your desk, the advertisement and the questions that we asked on the application at that time. But again, I'd like some input. If that's how you want to do it, what kind of questions do you want to see on the application? Because we have to do this pretty quickly. The other thing that you can do is interview interested candidates for the position. It can be the full board can go ahead and do those interviews, or a partial board, like 2 members can, if let's say 10 people want to be on the board and they all apply, that'd be great that we'd have that much interest. Do you want a partial board to maybe narrow down the list? Do you want to interview all candidates, or do you want to select the top 3 based on the applications? So these are all things to consider. And I bring them up right away, and I'll come back to this slide. I bring them up right away because we're short on time. Go ahead and switch to the next slide. So our timeline is 60 days, right? The vacancy was declared as of May 31st, 2025. 60 days is July 30th of 2025. Between now and July 30th, we have 4 regular meetings. That's not to say we can't have other meetings. We could do interviews on a different date. However the board chooses to do it. But I want to point out that there's only 4 meetings between now and July 28th. So I'm going to switch back to that other slide about the appointment options, and I'm going to open it up for you all to give me some direction on what you'd like to do.
Mayor Pro Tem Harris.
I mean, the election wasn't that long ago. We're talking 6 months ago. I would probably go back to those election results and take the next top vote getter and see if they would like the position. And if they would not, for whatever reason, go down to the next one after that and ask them. And after that, that's what I would propose.
I'd prefer to open it up to whoever wants to submit. I'd rather advertise and get a variety.
Trustee Schrantz, do you have any comments or questions?
I always have a comment.
Okay.
I think I'm understanding both of those options. And I'm not sure. I think I think it would be a challenge to get a lot of people to interview for this, especially in light of we just got done with an election. So I think at this point, I would probably be in support of looking at a previous or the next person in line from the elections that we had just 6 months ago.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, I'd also add, this person's only going to be in this position for potentially 1.5 years at this point. You and Brad went through how much training? You and Jeremiah went through, a lot of training to get up to speed, I guess, with everything that kind of goes along with this. And first, if we did take applications and picked somebody who had never been on the board before, I mean, we're looking at another, how many months for them to get on board, and then they could potentially only be on the board for 1 year. I mean, that just seems like a lot of work for not a lot of payoff. And with the other people that ran for the board, they'd be able to hit the ground with their feet running. They know what's going on. They're familiar with everything. They'd be able to jump right in and make the most of that 1.5 years.
Yeah, I would agree. And I'm looking out for the people who voted in the last election. And I would tend to lean towards the next person in line because of what the voters had said in the last election. So that's what I would do. So.
As I recall, the next person in line was Chris Cartwright, who had been on the board before. And then Chris Parr, Don Smith, and Wayne Tolliver. As I recall, that's how the results ran on the election.
So the direction so far would be to give Chris Cartwright the opportunity to fulfill the trustee seat. He has already submitted a letter to Marcus in acceptance if we went that way. So I'm not sure what next steps, Josh, that we need to do, or Mary.
Yeah, I believe it would take a vote of the board.
Yeah.
To
And
make
we'll
a
put that
motion
to a
and
vote in a
appoint
moment.
someone.
Yeah. Well, but I just wanted to see if there's anything after that, if we decide to appoint Chris Cartwright as the next trustee.
Can they vote?
I was gonna say, are you asking if you can do the vote tonight?
Yes.
On that?
Well, after the vote, what is the next step?
I mean, I would say the next step would be to contact Mr. Cartwright and ask if he accepts or not. He would have the right to accept or not.
Right. And is that a letter from the board or is that a letter from the town clerk?
Probably from the town clerk.
Okay. All right.
Correct.
All right. So would you like to make that motion?
Okay, so I guess if Chris was the next one in line, then I would move to appoint Chris Cartwright to the vacant position until the next election in November 2026.
Trustee Strands, would you like to second that?
Yes, second.
Okay, thank you. Mary, roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Harris,
Yes.
Trustee Hagan,
No.
Trustee Strands,
Yes.
Mayor Whitlow.
Yes. Thank you very much. Mary, thank you for putting this together. Josh, thank you for being here tonight to help guide us through this. So thank you very much. Okay, we'll move to the public comment. There's second one, excuse me. Passed. It's 3-1.
3-1.
Yes. Okay, we have no further general business tonight, so this brings us to our second regular public comment period, which would be for any items, whether it's on the agenda or not. We will follow the same guidelines previously stated. I will call on individuals in order which they have signed in. Again, I ask all speakers and audience members to treat one another with respect and dignity. Would anyone like to comment at this time to the Board of Trustees? Okay, seeing none. Elected official reports are next. To anybody of the trustees want to report anything? Trustee Strands, do you have anything?
No, the weather in California is dry.
Thank you. It's wet here. I have two things that I wanted to bring up. I did attend the CML Spring District meeting and did my best on bringing me to the table of all the projects that we've held. And it's a wonderful thing to do that. So I invite everybody to come to these meetings. They're twice a year. We have one in spring and one in fall. CML does a great job of hosting and getting us up to speed on legislation stuff and everything else that's happening. So, and the next thing was the flag retirement last Saturday. Even though it was very, 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 very cold, we did it. And Lorelei, thank you to JC and your team for hosting Public Works. I don't see Erica, but there you are. Sorry. Take my glasses off so I can see you. Thank you to your team for helping us get everything together, dig the hole, all that stuff, put the fire out, all that jazz. So thank you so much. You know, it really means a lot to a lot of people that were at the retirement ceremony. And I please thank you to all the people that bring in their torn flags to us so we can properly retire them. So thank you. And do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Hagan,
Yes.
Trustee Strands,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Harris,
Yes.
Mayor Whitlow.
Yes. Thank you very much. The May 27th, 2025 regular meeting of the Board of Trustees is now adjourned at 7:12. Thank you very much for attending tonight. Thank you very much for those who are at home watching, and have a good night. Thank you.
I have to end it, right?